Njengoba izwe ligubha inyanga yezokuthutha, uma ubheka isimo semigwaqo yakuleli kukhona mbukelo ungakubungaza. Sinjani isimo seyindlela ngasendaweni ohlala kuyo mbukeli, njengoba izifundazwe ezintathu nje zakuleli sivakashelile zikhala ngemigodi phecelezi ama-potholes ngolwasemzini. Ziphinde zikhale ngokuthi ayazidla ephaketheni kanti zisola nomasipala ngokungalungisi imigwaqo. Amabhiliyoni mbukela amarandi amenyezelwa yonke iminyaka enzani uma izakhamuzi sakhala. Le migodi elungiswayo mbukela emigwaqeni ibuye futhi ibhidlike ngemuva nje kwesikhashana siyinqaba kanjani. Eminye yembuzo leli mbukele sobe sikhuluma namhlanje ohlelweni asikhulume lethu talk. Sikubingelele sikwamukela ohlelweni. Igama lami ngingubongiwe uMakhumalo waKwaZwane. Khumbula ke ukuthi ungaba ingxenye lolu hlelo ngokushayela ucingo sizwe umbono noma umbuzo wakho. Inombolo zethu zocingo zingu 011 714 0727 011 714 0727. Ungabuye futhi mbukela usithole kumakhasi ethu okuxhumana ku-X SABC Izindaba, ku-Facebook umbukela ikhasi lethu SABC Izindaba. Ukuze kube lula ke mbukela iqala ngo#asikhulume #SABC News bese ke ubhala umbuzo noma umbono wakho. Mbukela intatheli yohlelo unokubonga Mgwenya usilethele lo mbiko ngesimo seyindlela ezifundazweni iGauteng, eMpumalanga kanye neNorthwest. Ake sizwe ukuthi bathina abahlali akhulume nabo.
Our municipalities, comrades, must be fixated about simple things such as fixing potholes and properly maintaining roads. This is not a difficult process.
Simo semigwaqo eNingizimu Afrika sihambe mbili ngalesikhathi mengameli wakuleli Cyril Ramaphosa akhuluma nemakhansela labalelwa etinkulungwaneni letisihlanu emhlanganweni lobe ubanjelwe eFNB Stadium lapho kugcilwe khona ngeludzaba lwetigodi letigcwele emigwaqweni. Sikhulumisene netakhamiti tesifundza seNorthwest, Gauteng kanye neMpumalanga. Lokhu ngilokuvetwe njengetingcinamba letibukana nato ngaletigodi letisemigwaqweni kuletindzawo tihlala kuto.
These potholes, they are no longer potholes. Here, when it rains, we can even catch the sharks.
Ama-potholes now spend imali kuwo kuthatha imali eningi kakhulu because each and every day ngithola obhuti laba bangasebenza besivalela wona ama-potholes ngenhlabathi besivalele ngayo yonke into, then make kwanizulu yasuka lo nhlabathi still sisabuyela kuwa ama-potholes lawo.
We really struggling ama-potholes la umasipala wethu akasave next akenzi next esiyalimala. Just imagine ukuthi you have to pop up imali ungakayibudgeteli ngenxa ye-pothole. Umasipala katangalivala just a mere pothole katangalivala lula.
Uma imoto yakho ilimala ngenxa yetigodi emigwaqweni yamasipala kuyendeka ukuthi uncepheteliswe ngumasipala lobuke lowo mgwaqo. Takhamiti tasemafikeng letikhala ngetigodi letigcwele emigwaqweni tivete loku ngekufaka sicelo semonakalo kumasipala.
I made a claim to the municipality, of which the municipality said they can't easily process the claim. I have to see to finish as to how best can I help myself. And this pothole, they are easily covered by the municipality.
Labatikhonako ngekwetimali bayakwati kuthatha imishwalense letabasita kulungisa nobe kushintsha emathaya kanye nemarim lalimele ngenxa yetigodi letigcwele emigwaqweni nalawo lachumile kubala lambalwa. Kwehluleka kwamasipala kulungisa tigodi emigwaqweni kanye nekunganaki tikhalo tebashayeli sekuholele ekutheni takhamiti titilungisela umonakalo ngekwato.
It's worse if it's a rainy day. It's a rainy day, our backlog of authorization get backed up. We don't only do passenger, we're talking about truck as well. So a lot of truck guys come, we've got a truck depot at the back of our building. That way we do all our truck fitment. So you get guys that, the 315s and 12 hours, which is expensive. You're basing a tire on a 7,500 Rand each.
Bashayeli betimoto kanye netakhamiti kutototinzathu letifundza bavete tingcinamba lebabukana nato wonke malanga nakufanele basebenzise umgwaqo logcwele tigodi. Baphindze basivetela nekuthi kumbe xolo kulungisa umonakalo kulandzela kusebenzisa umgwaqo logcwele tigodi. Etindzabeni te-SABC ngingunokubonga Mgwenya, leli luhlelo Asikhulume Let's Talk, ngiseGauteng.
Mbukela samkele ihambeli zethu Wayne Divinage, CEO for the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, that is out, kanye noThixo Nathi Mtoninji obuya kwinhlangano emele omasipala mbukeli isalga no-transport specialist. Siphinde sibe noProfessor Nsekelo Breakfast omhlaziyi wezepolitiki. Mbukeli siyibizile inhlangano iSanral, kodwa emuva kukusilindisa babuye izolo sebethi ngeke babe ingxenye lolu hlelo, which is quite surprising, Mbukeli, because as we invited Sanral, it was for us to understand what exactly is going on. Kodwa ke Mbukeli, ake singene engxoxweni yethu. Wayne, let me start with you. And I mean, when we invited Sanral, right, because this is about the country's roads, they kept promising us that they're going to send us a representative, and then we get ditched at the last minute and we're told, no, we're not going to be getting a representative. And this is quite a serious matter. One wonders, in your view, do you think they're taking it as seriously as they should?
No, we don't think so. It's sad that they didn't appear on your show. It is very important that the state agency that's responsible for these challenges does come and explain what is happening. I think we've seen this behavior, by the way, from Sanral in many of the engagements that we want to have with them as civil society. We've been questioning marketing budgets, the way they've been managing their tender process, and the whole Vala Zonke project, where there's massive claims of pothole repairs, but when you dig deeper, it's not as what they make it out to be. So that is a concern. But I think the biggest concern is not so much Sanral's roads, because they a large percentage is managed through concessions and their own tolls sessions, and the national road infrastructure is not that badly maintained. It is the provincial and the local government, that's the municipal roads, where the dire state of the roads has deteriorated. But Sanral has acquired a lot of these provincial roads over time. In 2010, they had just over 16,000 kilometers, and that's increased by nearly 50% to this day. It's not because of extra roads they've built, it's because of extra roads they've taken over from the inefficient provinces that have been struggling to maintain roads and manage road infrastructure. So Sanral, being the big brother of road construction and managing their affairs a lot better than the provinces and the municipalities, have taken over a lot of the provincial roads. Of course, the budget has also gone their way. Their budget has increased. In 2010, they got government grants it was around about, let me just see, it was about 2.3 billion rand back in 2010. That was the state of their government grants. Today, that figure is over 13 billion rand. Yeah. So they've got the allocations, they've got the money, and they should be maintaining roads much better than they have been. It's a serious problem, by the way, in this country. And
it really is, right? Thixo Nathi, for you, because one of the big issues is that we're looking at local roads, municipal roads, for example, with some of the residents, as you listen to, I mean, one of them says that you can even find shocks in some of these potholes. It's it might appear funny, but it speaks about the problems that they're facing on a day-to-day basis. From Salga's point of view, what's making it difficult for municipalities to maintain the roads?
I think I want to firstly thank you for having us. As Salga, we appreciate the opportunity to come here. I think the first thing is road infrastructure is quite expensive. We must accept that. Secondly, I think as a country, the way we fund roads does not reflect the way that we use them. So the users do not care whether it's a national road or provincial road or a municipal road for that matter. So in your typical commuting, you would use a national, if you live around Johannesburg, Pretoria, you would use a national road, a provincial road, and a municipal road to get from your home to your work. But the way we fund roads, we fund them according to the specific sphere of government, which is quite fundamentally problematic for us going forward. But also you'll find that the dedicated funding on roads, which is the biggest part of the funding, is allocated in quite in an equitable way between the different spheres of government. I see Mr. Divinage speaking about the allocation to Sanral. Sanral, I think, owns about 5% of the total road network of about 750,000 kilometers in this country. But of that dedicated funding, they get close to 40% of that. A recent study done by the South African Institute of Civil Engineering demonstrates that in an evaluation of the condition of the roads in the country, from A, meaning that those roads are world-class, to E, meaning that those roads are completely unfit for purpose, the only roads that are close to world-class are Sanral roads. So from a funding perspective, it's meant to be like this. It just simply reflects the allocation of the funding that we have, notwithstanding that other problems that municipalities do face.
So, Prof, right off of that point, how much of it is the allocations and how much of it is politics getting in the way of delivery?
Bongiwe, my view is that the problem in the bigger scheme of things is the application of neoliberalism. What I mean is that if you look at the model of development that is applied at local government level, it promotes privatization of services. And you find that municipalities, they tend to take a backseat in terms of promoting development for the majority. And that privatization of services, even Wayne did touch on this, it tends to create a scope for personal accumulation, whereby companies are appointed to get the job done and they fall short of doing that. And the citizens at local government level tend to bear the brunt. So the model has not done justice in terms of promoting development, in terms of doing a whole range of things. People are after tenders without doing the job. That's the problem.
And when people are after tenders, I want to, after the break, talk about then how do we begin to deal with that? Because that's part of the big problem, isn't it? Because ultimately, if someone is going to be after a tender, it doesn't mean we're going to get the job done. But hold that thought. I want us to discuss this. Mbukeli siyabuya khona manje khumbula futhi ukuthi ungakwazi ukuthi ushayele ucingo sizokwazi ukuthi sizwe ukuthi wena uthini. Inombolo zethu 0117140727 la uhamba khona Mbukeli ngabe wakho umgwaqo unjani? Mbukeli sikubingelele futhi sikwamukela ohlelweni uma uqeda ukuhlanganyela kanye nathi sikhuluma ngesimo seindlela zakuleli esingesihle Mbukeli nesinobungozi siphinde futhi sibeke impilo yemphakathi engcupheni. Mbukeli sinoSoshangane sawubona baba. Sawubona baba uyasizwa?
Yabo.
Ehe ungaqhubeka fushane nje. Cha baba ucingo lwakho alizwakali kahle ngizocela ukuthi futhi mhlambe bakushayela ucingo sikwazi ukuthi sikhulume futhi kanye nawe ngizobuya nje kuwena ngizobuya kwana bazongitshela nje uma usukhona. Wayne, let me come back to you, right? Recently there was a figure by the Johannesburg mayor which raised serious eyebrows, right, to say that to fix all the potholes will cost 700 million rand, and I was wondering, like many were, how did we arrive at such a figure?
Yeah, look, I think the entire road project, I mean, they've got about 14,000 kilometers, which is, when you just add it all up, if you do not resurface roads and maintain them properly, and this is where many in local government have a problem with maintenance. They just keep putting maintenance off. They don't spend the money, and when they do, they overspend. So you will get, for instance, our estimates are when there's a road project in local government, you pay for 3 kilometers and get 1 kilometer. That's the extent of the corruption that takes place, and the middlemen that all siphon off the revenue stream. So the budget doesn't go far. Joburg Roads Agency, it's got the money. It's been given now close to 2 billion rand a year. 10 years ago, or about 13 years ago, that was 500 million. Not as if they don't have the money. I think this is how you need to analyze this. 15 years ago, most municipalities were washing their own face. In other words, they were making do with their budgets. They were maintaining water infrastructure, road infrastructure. Then they stopped, it slowed right down. They were not spending enough on infrastructure, upgrading, maintenance, and so forth. And I'm talking roads as one of those areas. And over the last 15 years, so halfway through our democracy, we were managing to do it. And then this free-for-all started under Zuma's years, and it's just got worse, by the way. Procurement irregularities, and today municipalities are broke. They've mismanaged their funds, so less and less is left for maintenance. And so these potholes, if you don't resurface your roads every 10 years or so, and you keep putting it off, the hole gets bigger and bigger, and you'll never catch up. They are on a no-win situation now. It's going to take billions of rands just to resurface the urgent roads right now. And bridges, we haven't even got to bridges, but over 70% of Joburg's bridges are unsafe out of the 900 bridges. And some of them, 25% are so unsafe that the engineers in Johannesburg don't drive over those bridges. And they've known about this problem for 7 years now. It's been reported on, they've done nothing. People are putting their heads in the sand. This is a dire situation we have in the biggest city in this country, in Africa.
And it really does sound dire, because one wonders though, when we come to the issue of maintenance, how much of a big headache is it when you look at municipalities? Are they using the allocations effectively?
I think the challenge is that it's not just a money issue. It's also a skills issue. It's also a leadership issue. It's correct that the longer you put off the maintenance and you end up having to rehabilitate the road, the costs increase exponentially. So timeless intervention on the maintenance of the road is very important. And that is the conventional approach that we've been advocating as SALGA, including at the time when the Operation Valazonge started, to say the best way to maintain roads is to take a conventional approach, not to take this pothole approach to road maintenance. Because certainly from an engineering perspective, it's really a pothole if it's an isolated hole. Once it's a number of them, then it's no longer a pothole. It's a sign that the road is failing. So we can't deal with it as if it's potholes.
So that on screen now would be a road that's failing.
It's a road that's failing. It's not a pothole. It's just that communities, because they don't have a technical background, would refer to it as potholes. But the truth of the matter is it's a failing road. So a conventional approach to road maintenance is key. Not just road maintenance, but stormwater management as well, because the biggest problem with the structural integrity of a pavement of a road is the ingress of water in it. So it's not just the maintenance of the pavement, but the maintenance of the stormwater to ensure that the water doesn't get into the pavement and then the structural integrity of the pavement is undermined. So that is the approach that we've been advocating. One of the reasons why we upgrade roads from gravel roads into surface roads is to improve ride quality. So what happens is if we start fixing potholes, one of the things that suffers quite grossly is the quality of the riding quality of the roads. I know there are roads that don't have potholes, but the riding quality is very bad and it's very uneven. And I see one of the commentators is correct to say it then becomes an unsafe road, especially under wet conditions. So that's the approach I think we've been advocating as SALGA, to say we need. That's why the Sanral roads are in the manner that they are in, is because there's a conventional approach to their maintenance.
That's quite interesting. And Prof, you mentioned something about tenders, because that's also the nub of the issue, because one wonders how much of the focus is on the tenders versus what Wayne and SALGA are mentioning, to say that have a plan, have a way in order to be able to maintain these roads, and simply not just rush to take things out to tender and simply just make people enriched, I suppose.
Unfortunately, Bongio, most of the problems, they revolve around the tendering system, whereby people are using social and political capital in pursuit of personal accumulation. Let's face it, people have been using the local state as a center of accumulation to amass wealth. They don't care about giving services. Now, we must bear in mind that local government, in my opinion, is the most important sphere of government, because it is closer to people on the ground. And therefore, if you want to implement LED, IDP, you need good facilities, infrastructure, which is up to scratch. But you can't do that when you don't have roads. which are on point. So that has been a problem. And if this thing of tenders is not addressed, I think we are still going to have this problem, in my view.
Mbukeli ake sithi shelele $8 siyabuya khona manje ukanyakaza. Mbukeli sesiphetha nje ake sisheshe sibheke isombululo zalenkinga Thixonathi. Let me start with you very quickly as we wrap up. So, how do we begin then to make sure that we prevent the impact that the bad roads have on our economy?
I think skills are important. I think we must find a balance between integrity and inclusivity. A road is an engineering product, and we must respect that. We don't have, in medicine, you don't have somebody who's not qualified having a surgery. Equally, we shouldn't have people who are not qualified as engineers participating in the value chain to deliver roads. I think that is important, but I think chief amongst that is leadership. We need the right kind of leadership in municipalities. Thank you.
That's very solid. And Prof, in about 20 seconds for you, right off of that point, I suppose what I'm listening to him say is that get politics out and start to put the people that actually know what they're doing in.
Of course, but also the local state needs to take the lead in terms of promoting a development and not appoint other service providers to get that's the problem, you see, because people have been using the state to dish out favors to henchmen in exchange for this and for that, to hold on to power a bit longer. People are just playing politics. Yeah. They are not interested in improving the lives of the people for the better.
For you, Wayne, 20 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It comes down to leadership, putting the competence in place, stopping the corruption. You know, we saw in Joburg Roads Agency, one of the guy was heading it up some time ago, Louis Nell, was doing a good job in uncovering the corruption. They removed him. He was an engineer. They wanted to put people that they favored in the position. They lowered the requirements from an engineer, took away all those requirements, put friends in the position. JRA's in a mess today. It is a tenure process, and it is sad. We've got to fix this.
All right, let me thank you all for your time. And I get the feeling that we'll have this conversation yet again in Mbukeli Ngoba. The state of our roads remains a problem. But I guess Bonguti uhlanganyele kanye nathi nehambeli zethu Wayne Duvenage, CEO for the Organization on Doing Tax Abuse. That's outa kanye noThixonathi Mtoninji obuya kwinhlangano emele omasipala Mbukeli Salga no-transport specialist siphinde saba futhi no-Professor Nsekelo Breakfast ongumhlaziyi wezepolitiki Mbukeli. Khumbula ukuthi futhi uma uphuthelwe uhlelo liyaphinda kusasa ku-SABC 1 ngehora lesithathu ngeviki elizayo Mbukeli inkohlakalo kuleli nomthelela wayo ekulethweni kwezidingo nqangi ungaphuthelwa kuze kube ngokuzayo.